Hello and welcome to another edition of the Bundesliga show here on the Football Dugout with myself, Devo, and we have obviously with us the normal crew. We have Mr. Gav Mack from Top Football and Florian Wolfram from Bayer Leverkusen. He's a very happy boy. But before we get into it, obviously we just want to say under no circumstances is there room for racism. No room for racism, whether that be online, in real life, or anywhere that you find yourself. It's 2021. We should be beyond this. It's laughable that we still have to put this message out there, but the message remains strong, and we will say it each and every day until something changes. No room for racism.
Yeah.
Okay, and just before we get started as well, just so you know, there will be Amazon codes on all Football Dugout videos. Oh, not on all of them. It could pop out on any of our videos is what I'm trying to say. So if you watch any of our videos on the Football Dugout, you may see an Amazon code pop up randomly. If you do, click it. You can use it on Amazon online, and you could purchase some nice stuff. Valentine's coming up. You know, you might have friends with birthdays or, you know, wedding anniversaries or whatever. What do I get them? Doesn't matter. It's free. We gave you the code. Also, we're giving away another code for Manscaped. You're not fully sure what that is. It's basically a male grooming online service, so you can buy yourself some tools to make sure that you are nice and trim, nice and neat downstairs. So,
especially Valentine's Day is on its way.
Valentine's Day is coming, and you want to look the part.
Make sure you trim your quim.
Yep. So you can use the code TFD on manscaped.com and you'll get 20% off any of your purchase on that website, and also free shipping to anywhere in the UK. Sorry, Flo, you'll have to pay shipping, but you get 20% off anyway. So Valentine's is coming. If your missus wants, you want to do that nice little design for your missus down there, then you get yourself the trim up.
Yeah, I think about
it. The boxer shorts are well nice as well. So just so you know. So you can find us on the socials. You have my socials there at DevoLDN. You've got at GavMack23. You've got at TFB Dugout, at Top Football. And then you have Florian on Instagram at Senior_Laboron. How are we doing, fellas, before we get into Matchday 20's results?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I've got over my despair from the weekend in both codes of football. And now, after being on your show yesterday, I'm in a good place. So I appreciate that. So make sure you go check out that show as well. Or it's all Mad in the Dugout. Also available.
It's absolute filth.
How was the Super Bowl show, guys?
Oh, it was good.
It was too late for me, but you still got my likes and subscribes, of course. So if you didn't subscribe it yet, do it, guys.
Good man. Now the show went well. And
the show was great.
Yeah, the one or two things happening off the back of that, but we'll talk about that later. Shall we get stuck in? And there's only one place to start. Let's look at this lovely smile on our friend Florian's face. Leverkusen 5, Stuttgart 2. A great performance. It could have been more. Just a brilliant performance all round. And some brilliant goals in this game. Even the 2 Stuttgart goals were excellent goals. I think every single goal in this game had me going, oh, that's nice. Florian, I'll start with you. Just how does it feel to put this kind of result on the board, considering the form's not been great before this game?
Yeah, it feels okay. It feels important. So I'm rather relieved than I'm happy, because these were three very necessary points. Taking a look back at the beginning of the season, we had 3 draws, 3 points, and afterwards started a good kind of series of wins, and were able to finish at spot 3 after 17 match days at halftime. And now we got exactly the same amount of points. So it's equal to the point before in autumn, and I'm confident that the team is able to have another run, to grab some points against the next opponent, like Mainz, Augsburg. So these are the matches you have to win. And I have to admit it, I'm still a little bit grieving about the lost chance in the cup. If I could have switched the results to winning in the cup and losing against Stuttgart, I would have done it.
That's interesting, because this win keeps you in touch with the teams in Champions League places, because Frankfurt and Wolfsburg, as we'll find out later, are absolutely flying. So it's quite it's necessary to get these wins on the board, because you don't want to fall behind those guys too much. I'm going to come to you now, Gav, and there's one player I want to speak about who for me was unplayable, and when he does play like this, he's unstoppable, and that's Diaby.
Mate. Oh.
Diaby was running rings around.
Flo knows how much I gas off Diaby. How much, pretty much every week on the Bundesliga show at the end of last season, where I was like, "Oh, Diaby, Mo Diaby, he's good, he's good. He should make a move to the Premier League." The thing is, he has no choice but to step up even more now, because they've added more wingers, more attacking talent to their three in behind, if you want to call it that. So, man, he could play on the left, he could play on the right. He's got both feet. He's rapid as hell. He's nimble. He's quick. He's tricky. He's a fantastic winger. And part of me thinks that the reason why they looked for reinforcements is because they might be a little bit concerned that they'll lose him this summer, and he could go to any club. I don't think there's not a club he can't get into.
I can't imagine we lose him this summer, because we just extended his contract right before Christmas till 25.
Which is perfect. That's what people do. Yeah. You want to get more money out of him, so therefore you sign a new contract.
They are doing great work. So I mean, this is the best example of signing young players, develop them, and give them early enough a new contract so you can get the cash out. And I mean, take a look at Schalke. They lost all their gifted players 3, 4, 5 years ago for free, like Goretzka, Maya, Kolasinac, etc. And Leverkusen is getting the money out of them. But I believe Diaby will play at least one more season in Leverkusen, because those players we signed in winter, like Demarai Gray, I don't know if I spelled it. Demarai Gray, yeah. He's rather planned as a sub, coming from the bench and doing exactly what he did short before the end of the game, ending the story, closing the book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big result as well, though, isn't it? Because everyone knows how good Stuttgart are away from home, and I imagine on weekday 3, when you got a point against them after being 1-0 up as well, in particular, alarm bells might have been ringing around Leverkusen. It's like, oh no, here we go. They've just been promoted. It's going to be another bad season. But then to have a look at how Stuttgart have actually turned up this year, especially their away form, this result is even bigger than you could imagine, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a massive positive result for Leverkusen, and it wasn't all just Diaby, but for me, he really stood out. Demabai obviously got 2 goals, Bailey on the score sheet, and Florian Wirtz, who made a bit of history, being the first player under 18 to reach 5 Bundesliga goals. Got a question here from Caleb Ashes. What are your thoughts on Wirtz? Is he better than Chelsea's Wirtz? So I'll leave that one up to you, Florian.
Well, in terms of statistics, he is. I mean, he's the youngest player ever scoring 5 Bundesliga goals, playing his first full Bundesliga season, and he's way more important for the squad than Havertz was back then. But I believe you can't compare those two, because Havertz's development was so rapid, so good, and Wirtz still needs to prove that. So there's a long way to go to develop in the next 2 or 3 years in this direction. But you know what's coming. He has all the gear and many idea. I love it. And I'm pretty confident he's going to develop this way, and maybe one day he might be better.
Yeah. So just let's stick with Wirtz. Do you take him to the Euros? If you're Joachim Löw, do you take Florian Wirtz to the Euros, or is it a bit too early for him?
What would you say, Gav? I would be interested in an opinion from an English man, because we Germans, we are kind of biased, Or I am a little bit biased.
Well, we love bigging people up and then shooting them down as quickly as possible over here. So the fact that he's 17, it's damn right, take him. And then as soon as he literally puts one pass out of place, not even a pass, a hair might be slightly off, we'll just lambast him for the rest of his career, and that will happen when he's 19. So no, but personally, I do think it might be a little bit too soon for him. He's been brilliant. There's no two ways about it. But the World Cup is only a year away, so to speak. So finish off this season. Let's see how you get on at the beginning of next season, and then we'll take him to the World Cup if his progression still continues it this way.
I say take him. I think the only reason I say take him because it's a 23-man squad. You take him. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play. You know he can play, so it's not like you're just taking him. But the experience could be crucial to integrating him into international football for that World Cup. So I'd say take him.
But of course, you need to be careful that you don't burn him too early. You know, I believe the summer break could be very important for him, especially after this COVID season with so many match days and such short breaks. And the funny thing is, talking about Wirtz, I once told you I have English class with his sister Sophia, and I was talking a lot in our class today about this podcast. I advertised it a lot, so she promised to listen. If she listens or is watching it live, shout out to Sophia. And of course, there's only one thing to say: take Wirtz to the Euros.
I didn't know Sophia was watching. Wirtz needs to go to the Euros. You know what I mean? Like,
shameless.
But no, it's not. I'm not. No, but seriously, I just think it is just a little bit too soon. He's 17 years old, right? But I know he's only going to be like 18 and a half, 19 when the World Cup comes around. But that's still an extra, potential 30, 40 Bundesliga games under his belt. So, yeah.
Just before we move on, we got a couple more questions about Leverkusen. I just want to have a quick conversation about Stuttgart, and just the wheels are kind of falling off there. They're struggling for consistency. One week they look great, next week they're looking averagely, below average. And they've also picked up a couple of injuries. Gonzalez looked like he went off with what looked like a hamstring injury. Kaladzic did come off the bench and bag too, but What do they need to do to kind of get back on track at Stuttgart? Because they've got the players. They just seem to have, maybe it's the youth. They've run out of consistency, that comes with young players. But what do they need to do to kind of get themselves back on track?
I think they just need a couple of older heads when things are going wrong to say, right, okay, let's focus on the game in hand. We love being known for our expansive football and, quite a swashbuckling way of going forwards, especially when they are away from home, because the reason why they look so good away from home is because they're expecting the home team to dominate possession. So they need to learn how to play when they're not expected to, when they're expected to have the ball more, I should say. And that's why they struggle so much at home. Their home form is so bad because they don't know how to maintain possession too well, but away from home they're not on it, so therefore they could go at whoever's playing against them. The issue is Bayer Leverkusen have got so much firepower, and these are like strong firepower. We know that Dortmund have got quality players, but they're not ferocious, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Whereas Bayer Leverkusen are. Yeah.
Okay, just one more thing before we move on from this. Question from our friend of the show, Erhan. He says, are Leverkusen the Tottenham of the Bundesliga? They always do well, but can't win a trophy.
Bomba. Dude, this is a nice family show, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a Tottenham fan as well. So you have to forgive him.
Kind of, yeah. Our biggest success in the past years was we put pressure on them. I believe you know it too well from Tottenham.
Yes, the applied pressure trophy. It's given out in November. Right, let's move on. Let's work our way back up. So let's move on to Schalke versus Leipzig. Poor Schalke. Poor Schalke. A little bit of a boost with the players coming in, the likes of Mustafi.
You haven't said that with a straight face.
You know why?
It's a good deal for Schalke. It's a good deal.
Well, I mean, he obviously he just came out of isolation the day before this game, and it looked like he was struggling for match fitness because he was a bit behind the pace, and he was at fault for the first goal. He lost his man. He was a bit out of sync with the rest of the team, which is going to happen. You don't really know your teammates, but it's also quite funny being an Arsenal fan saying he does that all the time. So it can't even just be quarantine. That's just Mustafi. That's who he is. So they wouldn't have expected much from this game, and Leipzig really, it was easy. It was an easy 3 points, but they'll be happy to get 3 goals on the board. So I'll start with you, Florian, at Schalke. These signings that they've made, so Kolasinac, William, Huntelaar, who's I don't even think he's played yet. I think he's injured, and Mustafi. Is that enough to at least make it look as if they may survive?
No, it's not, because some of the signings are quite, their motive is desperation. Now, like Huntelaar, you sign him, although he's injured. You let him play for 10 minutes against Bremen. He's injured again. I can't imagine he will be a factor on the pitch. Maybe for motivation or for experience, talking to Hoppe, giving him some advices, but he won't have any big contributions on the pitch towards the success or possible success of Schalke. And as you said, Kolasinac, he had a nice effect in the first game, but this effect seems to be losing very quickly. William is quite okay as a right back. There was a gap they had to fill. And Mustafi, I believe this was just the moment, or after the match day last week, they realized, okay, better take the cash for Kabak now when we are in Bundesliga, and not taking 5 million less when we relegated. So in economic terms, this was a good deal, setting Kabak and signing Mustafi for free, because he has some experience. He's world champion. I don't know. He's the most expensive defender you ever signed. Is it true? At Arsenal?
35 million pounds sterling.
So he had a decent time, but I don't know. As you said, he needs to attach to the team, and then we will see. But taking a look at the table, it's 9 points, 10 points to place number 16.
9 points
to the playoff spot, and that's too much.
Considering they've only got one win all season, I think that looks like it's a bit, it's not. Well, I've got an analogy for Mustafi. I liken him to a dog chasing a car. It's like he sees the ball and he just goes, ball, and he doesn't care what's around him. He doesn't care what's behind him. It's just he sees the ball and he's oh yeah. So that's the kind of defender he is. But let's talk about Leipzig. The first goal from Mukiele on the stroke of half time, which is a horrible time to concede a goal, but a great time to score a goal. And then 2 late strikes, one from Sabitzer and a header from Willy Orban. Leipzig sit firmly in second, ahead of the Champions League game. This is a massive confidence boost, isn't it, Gav?
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, because just before Mukiele scored his goal, he almost put himself in a lot of danger, literally moments before it as well, where me and Cotton from 2 up top, we absolutely can't stand the fact that teams play out from the back. We are not down for that life. And something that Cotton always says, the full-on quote, is like, just because you can play it out from the back, it doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And Leipzig, obviously, they've got ball-playing defenders, but they don't need to be playing out the back in that way. They really don't. And they almost got done for it. But luckily for them, it didn't work out that way, and they were able to score. But in terms of the rest of the season, Leipzig, if I were them, I would literally put all their eggs into the Champions League basket right now. They're not going to pick up Bayern. Bayern, they're 7 points behind them. I know Bayern also had, they have got World Club Cup stuff going on at the moment. They won on Monday, I think it was on Monday.
They're going to take on Tigres.
Yeah, Tigres. Gignac Tigres tomorrow. So that's an easy victory for them. So they don't need to worry about that sort of stuff. They're going to be concentrating on the Champions League themselves. But everyone knows that Bayern's second team is good enough to compete in the top 4 alone. So what Leipzig need to do, Schalke's a free hit. They took the 3-0 nice and easy, and then they can just crack on. They can just crack on, but they just need to start thinking about the Champions League. I don't think they'll win that either, but if they end up going down the same route as they did last season and having one-off games, why not?
Yeah, and just before we move on to our next game, again, Erhan, this Leipzig team might humiliate Liverpool. What do we think about that, just briefly, that tie? Obviously, it's been moved to, is it Bucharest, or is that the...
Budapest.
Budapest.
Yeah, this one's in Budapest, isn't it?
Yeah. What do we think?
We don't want the English to be in Germany, apparently. Leipzig and Gladbach are both moved to Budapest.
Yeah, don't blame them. Good idea.
Don't blame them. Yeah, fair play to you. Fair play. Do you think
I don't know
Leipzig can upset Liverpool and make it through to the next round?
I don't think it'll be an upset if they win. It'll be the press that would turn around and say it's an upset. Look at Liverpool's form; it's been absolutely dog. I mean, like, let's be honest. You know, it could have there could be reason behind it in terms of Jurgen Klopp, who lost his mother last month, and the funeral was today. Yesterday, wasn't it? Or today, the day of recording. So, you know, thoughts do go out to Jurgen Klopp and his family. Liverpool's form in the Premier League, in most competitions, since the end of last year, as in the calendar year, up until now, just hasn't been good enough. And a team like Leipzig would love to exploit Liverpool. The way that Leipzig play, this is the perfect game for them against Liverpool. So yeah, it wouldn't be a surprise at all.
Flo?
I think it will be easier for Liverpool to play against Leipzig than playing against a team which is at the bottom of the league and just defending. Because at the moment they have difficulties with creating chances out of possession. But against Leipzig, it will be like one counter attack after another. The match will be like a tennis match, going from one side to the other, and that's why I'm quite confident that Liverpool is able to reach the next round. And but it wouldn't surprise me if they don't. So it's 50-50 from my point of view, or maybe 60-40 for Liverpool because they have the bigger experience, but nothing more.
Okay. And let's move on to our next game, and this was a big one, the Rhine derby between Borussia Mönchengladbach and FC Cologne. Big win for Cologne in this one. They hadn't beaten Mönchengladbach for some time, I believe, and this was a massive 3 points for them. Despite the fact that it's a derby, they needed those points in the league as well. Goals from Gav's favourite player, Rex Bajai,
man, like Elvis. My God.
Elvis lives.
Elvis lives on for real.
And a equaliser at the time for Neuhaus, even though I'm not sure.
From Neuhaus.
I'm not sure if you could give that to him. It looked like the Lampard special, like 16 deflections before it goes in the net. Lampard scored a lot of deflected goals. I think he perfected the technique.
A lot of goals, man.
He's part of Mensa, isn't he? He's like proper.
Yeah, he's smart.
Just doesn't know how to manage worked out the angles. So if I shoot and it hits that geezer there, it's going to deflect off him, hit his knee, and go in. I reckon he figured it out. He's a smart guy. Yeah, it's a massive win for Cologne. Flo, I know you don't like them, but it was a good performance as well as a good win. They actually performed well. They battled, and they look a lot better with Dennis up front, with an actual focal point up front. This takes them, I believe, up 2 or 3 places in the table now. They're about 4 or 5 points ahead of Bielefeld and Berlin, who are tied on 17 points. I mean, no one would have expected them to win this game. Just how massive is this victory for them?
Yeah, Elvis was thinking before the match, a little less conversation, a little more action, please. And he did.
Hello! Unscripted.
Typical Cologne. This match fits so good to Cologne. It's unbelievable. I told you last week about the horrible days they had at the beginning of the week and the end of last week, with the head of communication who was sacked after 24 hours, etc. Afterwards, they're losing in the cup after being 2-0 in front against the second league team. So everything is down in Cologne, everything. Then on the way from the hotel to Gladbach, the Cologne Ultras made with bengalos and pyros, etc. They were on their way to motivate the team, and from inside the bus, someone was filming and sent a video. It was somehow released on the internet, and you hear in the bus Dominik Drexler, the Cologne player Dominik Drexler, saying, how do you call someone in a bad word who's disabled? Something like this.
I
don't know.
Yeah, we've got words for it.
So he said Spacken. It's a German word for this kind of description. It was hearable, and it was published before the match. I don't know, someone published on the internet So everyone was furious. Lucas Podolski tweeting again just with emojis. I don't know if he's able to write, but he's always just tweeting emojis. You have to look at this.
I
And
love
then
Poldy, man.
when everything's down, they win the derby against Mönchengladbach. Tomorrow would have been the start of Carnival, so everyone is happy. They forgot about everything. They went from 0 to, I don't know, more than hero, double hero, treble hero. I don't know. This is so typical Cologne. Can't explain it. No one can explain it how they're able to win this match against Gladbach.
Well, I have one theory. It's because Mbolo started up front on his own. That is not going to win you many games.
I don't need to say much about that.
Yeah, I mean, Gav, I'm going to come to you. Mönchengladbach, I mean, obviously you don't want to lose a derby game, but also they're dropping points at the top of the table and slipping away behind teams I mentioned earlier, Wolfsburg, Frankfurt, those guys who are flying. This is a massive, massive loss for them, isn't it?
Oh, it's deep, man, because they're in 7th spot now. They're on 32 points. They're only 4 points behind the chasing pack, so to speak. But the other boys, they're hitting form. They're hitting form at the right time. This is not a good time to be losing against, as far as I'm concerned, a bottom feeder in Cologne. It's not good, and it's the fact it's a derby match as well. But I just don't feel that they were in the game at any point. They even, when they brought on Player and Thuram, they were like, right, okay, it looked more desperate than tactical in that situation. So, I think they got exactly what they deserved, really, and that's no points. And in the Champions League, when they got drawn against Man City at the time, I think they would have fancied it a little bit, but. Now they are on the game must have finished now in the FA Cup, but they were 3-0 at Man City at the time. That's now 15 games straight victories, not even unbeaten, straight victories, straight W's. They aren't going to lose anytime soon. They got Spurs at the weekend, Man City. So that's going to be dangerous for them. And then with Mönchengladbach, they got Wolfsburg away. And Wolfsburg are loving life at the moment. They've stopped drawing games. So this could be exactly. It's going to be a hairy time for Gladbach, and they can slip right off.
Yeah, Embolo cannot start that game up front on his own.
I told you, Embolo's a dead striker, man.
He is. He's just keep him away from the box. Let him do his work outside the box. Let someone else finish the moves.
He's a bad Aubameyang.
Yeah. Very bad.
He might actually do all right in a bit of a Neuhaus position. Like, just off it, because he's got energy. There's no denying he's got energy. He's actually got a good first touch, and he's very powerful, but he is not a striker. He reminds me of me. I'm desperate to play up front. I've got my composure in front of goal. If I was on Football Manager, my composure would be greyed out. Pace, acceleration, fitness probably about a 9 now. But pace and acceleration would be like 18, 19 on both. Shooting is fine. Shooting is fine, but the composure, nah, not there.
Well, let's talking about composure. We'll go to someone who usually is ice cold. But in the snow, he lost his composure. Lewandowski missed a penalty. He is human. 1-0 to Bayern Munich. Lewandowski did not get that goal despite him missing the penalty. Actually, it was Kingsley Coman. Hertha actually were unfortunate not to get a point from this. Your boy Cunha missed an absolute golden chance, 1-on-1 with Neuer.
He messed it up for everybody.
Yeah, late chance to get a point. I think Bayern didn't look at their best at all in this game, and Berlin could have got something from it. But that's been the story of Bayern's season, really. They haven't looked like the all-encompassing, just swashbuckling, ruthless Bayern. They've struggled in many games, but have got that I don't know what you'd call it, but that character to just get themselves over the line.
That's the Mia San Mia. That's like their saying, their motto.
Yeah.
Mia San Mia, we are we. And this is the way they play.
Yeah.
We win. We have the quality to win anyhow.
And
they're winning, and they win dirty, and it's not a problem for them.
It's a sign of champions.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what champions do. They go out and they will win games no matter what the circumstances are. whether they smash up Schalke 8-0 on the opening day of the season, or they grind out an awful bit of TV and get a 1-0 win.
Have you guys realized that the match started half an hour early on Friday?
No.
Yeah,
You know
because
why?
of the snow. Because of the snow and the
Yeah,
weather.
it was because they wanted to travel to the Club World Cup in the night from Friday to Saturday to have one more day of regeneration. That's why they the match half an
I
hour
thought it's because of the
before.
weather.
Yeah.
Because this game was called off because of the weather. And this is the Arminia Bielefeld game.
Yeah.
And this is look at that.
Yeah. Just get the orange ball out. It's fine.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I've played on worse.
Last playing in the snow. But the funny thing is still to come. So they started earlier because there's a forbid of flying at the new Berlin airport after midnight. So they started earlier just to be early at the airport and get into the plane. And it took them a little bit too long. And 3 minutes after midnight, they wanted to start, but the tower didn't allow it. So they had to spend all the night in their airplane waiting at Berlin airport.
Which one, Schoenfeld or Tegel?
To fly to Munich in the morning because the working time of the crew was over. They needed to fly to Munich, switch the crew in Munich, and then flying from Munich to Qatar.
Wow.
God.
Well,
I love that.
Why
don't just flying Saturday morning? So what's the problem in advance?
Maybe,
I don't know.
It's in Qatar, isn't it? Maybe they just wanted to get a bit of sunbathing in. You know what I mean? Get around the pool early.
Yeah, with the lads.
Just a quick word on Hertha Berlin before we move on. The new manager's gone in there. It hasn't quite worked out for them yet. The team look a little bit more structured and a little bit more defensively rigid than they did beforehand. But they're in deep trouble. They're on the same points as Bielefeld. Bielefeld now obviously have that game in hand due to the game with Bremen being postponed. How do they get out of this situation? I don't know how else to put it. How do they get out of this?
Well, waiting for the next games. I mean, take a look. They played against Frankfurt in the first match, who are absolutely on fire, and now Bayern Munich. So, of course, starting with 2 losses is not so good, but now they play against Stuttgart, and this is a very important match for them because afterwards it's Wolfsburg and Leipzig, or Leipzig and Wolfsburg the other way around.
Yeah, Leipzig and Wolfsburg.
So you need to grab those points against Stuttgart. Luckily, they play in Stuttgart, so there might be a chance they can take an advantage of the bad home form from Stuttgart and take this very, very needed point.
We were talking about their level of attitude and things like that only a couple of weeks ago, and the fact that they don't really have many older heads. They've got Sami Khedira now. Yeah. So, that could be key. And I felt that when he was introduced to the game, there was a level of maturity about Hertha's game. They could have got that, Cunha. I love Cunha, I do as well. It's a shame that he did miss that opportunity at the end. He tried to be a bit too cute. Mm-hmm. And look, we know Neuer's one of the best goalkeepers probably ever to play the game. Whether I like him or not, or whether this person loves him or that person hates him, it's irrelevant. He is revolutionary. He's one of the best goalkeepers ever to play the game. And his presence as he was coming out and made himself big, it would have been quite difficult for you to even, by the time you thought about going around him, he would have been on you. And he's brilliant at doing that. So I understand why Cunha went down that route of trying to chip him, but I still think it was a little bit of a bad idea.
Wybro 3483 says Neuer is the best keeper ever. I don't think anyone can really argue with that. Obviously, there are other names in the hat.
He's not even the best German goalkeeper ever, but
he's definitely in the conversation. I mean, you can't just dismiss it. Let's move on. Hoffenheim at home to Eintracht Frankfurt. Frankfurt now have, I think, 7 wins of their last 8 games, and they're banging in goals for fun. Not just your boy Silva, who did get another one, and it was an excellent goal as well. Excellent team move.
Right. excellent team move.
No, it was because the ball from Kamada was top class. Kostic to make the space to get the cross in and the pinpoint cross. It was an excellent move from back to front.
The move was brilliant.
Yeah,
the move was brilliant.
But, you need someone on the end of it who's going to put it in the back of the net, don't you? Because Cunha would have missed it.
He tried so hard to miss it anyway. He's headed it down into the ground, which you should head it down. I understand that, but he's not even had he's not even had a clean connection with it, and he's heading it down into the ground. And then he's wheeling off like he scored a 40-yarder, man. Allow him, man. Honestly,
17 league goals this season now for André Silva. And not all of them can be miss hit, can they? Kostic put them in the lead with another well-taken goal on the 15th minute. Bebu, who came on at half-time, made an instant impact with another well-taken goal. There's some great goals this weekend. And then Ndicka with the to go ahead again, and then Silva put it to bed literally a few minutes later. Hoffenheim are really struggling to put wins on the board at the moment. How safe is Hoeneß in his position, Flo?
I would say sitting quite comfortable in seat because the current Hoffenheim is not known for sacking coaches too early. They had this experience around 10 years ago, 12 or 8 years ago, when they wanted to aim for more and got impatient and nearly relegated. So currently the Hoffenheim, they see themselves as an educating club for players, a developing club for players. And they don't mind if they are 12 or 9. It doesn't matter to them as long as they're somewhere between spot, 7 or 13, so they don't in danger of relegating. Of course, they like to qualify for Europe, but that's not the main goal. And I think they will give him at least the next summer to develop the team and develop his idea, his way of playing football. Then we'll see in the next season. But I can't imagine him being sacked this season. Only if they have now a series of 5 losses and getting quite endangered to relegate. But I can imagine that.
I mean, they're 5 points away from the playoff position, which Bielefeld do have a game in hand. And, we spoke about Berlin and Cologne earlier. If any of those teams put on a decent run of form, if Hoffenheim continue to play this way and not pick up W's, they may be in trouble of just being sucked into something. But that's enough about Hoffenheim. Let's talk about Frankfurt, because they are probably the informed team in the league. Luka Jovic isn't even getting a mention at the moment. They're doing all this stuff without him. Silva's banging goals. Kostic is back, playing the kind of form he was a few years ago. Kamada's, just picking passes left, right, and centre. Defensively, Trapp's doing well in goal as well. How long can they keep this going for, Gav? Are they serious contenders for the Champions League?
Yeah, they are. They can keep it going for at least another week because they've got Cologne next week. They've got Dortmund just after. They've got Bayern, just after. So
they don't do too bad against Bayern though, Frankfurt.
No, you're right. They're but. No, I don't think the run will continue for much longer. But everyone's taking points off each other at the moment at the top of the league, so it doesn't really. No one could get a decent run of games going. So it was really key for Frankfurt to go on their run, because I swear after week 7, week 8, we were talking on here the same damn show saying, "Oh, I don't know about Frankfurt, man. They won't get relegated. Definitely not get relegated, but they'll probably come like mid-table at best." And now they've changed their whole mentality. They're in a completely different situation. Everyone wants to play with each other, and that's what is so important. It's not like I'm this person, I'm the main guy, I'm going to keep hold of the ball, I'm going to do whatever. Everyone's playing for each other, and you could see the team cohesion when every goal goes in, that everybody is there celebrating and loving it, and they're all celebrating rather than a couple of high fives and off we go back. They're having a wonderful time this season. The morale is through the roof, so why not? And it'd be lovely to. I don't actually have beef with Frankfurt. I just have beef with André Silva, but it'd be lovely to see them in the Champions League next season.
Yeah, and earlier in the season, Frankfurt were getting a lot of draws, and they've managed to turn those draws into wins. And so have our next team, Wolfsburg, the previously, the draw kings beforehand. Now they're just winning with clean sheets. And another striker who's on great form is Wout Weghorst. Now I think that's 14 league goals for him as well. And Baku has been turning up with a couple goals over the last few weeks. Florian's signing of the season, proving him to be correct. That's a great shout for you, Florian.
Better shout that is.
Yeah, this could have been more than 2-0. It was an absolute walk in the park for Wolfsburg. Augsburg didn't even show up. It was basically Wolfsburg were just playing training and decided to stick a couple goals in. We'll start with Wolfsburg. I mean, again, we was talking about Frankfurt flying. These guys are doing the exact same. They're easily in the Champions League places. No one will want to play Wolfsburg over the next few weeks. They're that good at the moment, aren't they, Flo?
Yeah, they are. And as you mentioned, they haven't conceded any goals in the last 5 games. And they have one striker who's scoring at the moment. As Frankfurt has a striker who's scoring at the moment. Just different from my point of view. Because except Bayern, okay, Leipzig has a huge quality in the squad, but looking at the other 2 spots for Champions League, like 3 and 4, all the teams in the lottery, they don't have this striker at the moment, or this guy who is consistently delivering goals. And if you have one goal at least, or 1 or 2 goals at least per game, you're in a very comfortable situation. And Wout Weghorst is, I don't know, scoring like he never did anything else. I can't imagine him not to score in a game at the moment. A game without a Weghorst scoring is not a Wolfsburg game.
Yeah, he's on form of his life.
But they need to cross the fingers that he's not getting injured, because I can imagine if he injures, that they will have serious problems.
Yeah, I agree. That's a point that I raised last week. I fear for them if he does get injured. But again, obviously, another thing that they may have in their locker is that they don't have to play in Europe. Dortmund, Leipzig, those guys. Leverkusen still in Europe? Yeah, Europe.
We're facing
in the premium competition in Europe on a Thursday. But Wolfsburg are just they're so nice to watch as well, because even when they were drawing games, they were playing nice football. But going back to what Flo said, that's five clean sheets that they've got in a row. 4 of those have been on the spin in the Bundesliga. It's the first time in their history that they've got 4 straight clean sheets, and off the bat of it, 5 straight wins. They're on form. They're loving life, and they've got a big game next week against Mönchengladbach. And after that, they've got bottom feeders. So if they could get a point, but to be honest, they should get all 3 points, because I imagine that Gladbach will be resting players ahead of the City game for next week. So I can't see why Wolfsburg can't get 9 from their next 9. And Weghorst, he doesn't even have to score on the ground. I already said this 2-3 weeks ago. I was like, look, this is. I think at the time it was like, oh my god, a shock, because he scored his previous 8 goals with his head, and then it got to that point and he scores on the ground. But this finish, sumptuous, man, sumptuous.
Yeah, he's in great form. Augsburg, they're struggling for form. They're struggling desperately for form. But there's teams worse than them in this league. So, as I said before, they're just happy to be here. As long as they're not in a relegation battle, I think they're fine. Before we go on to our next game, it's time for. Hold on, let's find the. Here we go.
Wolfman's words of wisdom.
Who is this handsome fella? Sorry.
Okay. First of all, does anyone recognize the sponsor?
The sponsor, London, yeah.
London.
Oh, wait there, let me say that.
It looks like the Durex logo.
It is Durex.
It is Durex.
Durex was called London, and it was really, I would say, it's an exotic story. The club FC Hamburg, it's FC Hamburg jersey, played in the Bundesliga at the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s. And they had London as their sponsor, and it was, I was told there were some quite interesting discussions in German media about it, because Germany seems to be a little bit more prude at this time. But that's not the key story, just a little side story. We are seeing the young Christian Streich, the Freiburg head coach at the moment.
Oh,
Wow. Okay.
is that him? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he has his 10 and only Bundesliga appearance for FC Hamburg in the beginning of the 90s, in 1990. And yeah, why do I want to talk about him? Because last weekend, Freiburg had a 700 Bundesliga game against Borussia Dortmund. And Christian Streich won all his Bundesliga matches, or won against, he won against every other club in the Bundesliga, but not against Borussia Dortmund so far in his 10 years of being coach at Freiburg. So it was very important for him to beat Dortmund. And on the Jubilee Day, he bet them in his home stadium and is now absolutely satisfied. And another fun fact is, in those 700 Bundesliga matches, Freiburg had 4 coaches. Or like Schalke would say, first half of the season.
That's brilliant.
That is brilliant. I can't believe that. So they've literally, like, in their 700 games, never beaten Dortmund.
I know they've beaten Dortmund, but Christian Streich has never beaten Dortmund.
Oh, Christian Streich. Oh, right. I was going to say, and they said play 700 Bundesliga games or whatever, but they've never. I was going to say, well, still, what happened this weekend then? I'm confused.
Let's get on to that, shall we?
Yeah.
So,
what a
this
great
weekend,
idea.
it was Freiburg versus Dortmund, and there you
Makes
go.
sense.
He's now beaten every single club in the Bundesliga.
Come on, Streich.
Well done, that man. Goals from Jung, Schmidt, and a reply from Mokoko. A bit too late, too little, too late. Good win for Freiburg. I mean, they were flying at one stage. The wheels kind of came off a little bit. But this win, I believe, only puts them, 2 points behind Dortmund? Or something like that. 2 points behind Dortmund. And Dortmund are what we would like to call in the mud. They are really not performing at the moment. I've washed my hands with Dortmund. I'm done with them. I used to have a
worn a jersey for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but yeah, let's talk about Freiburg. That was the first goal from Lyon. Brilliant strike. And then 3 minutes later, Schmidt thought, well, I'll have a go as well. This geezer's done a nice long range shot. I'll do one. And Marvin Hitz didn't really cover himself with too much glory. I mean, I had a go at Berkey last week, saying I'm surprised that Hitz doesn't play more, and then he goes and does that and proves why Berkey's the number one choice. Poor goalkeeping. So Freiburg, big win for them at home. Still, the dream is there for them to get into Europa League and maybe finish above Dortmund, Gav.
Yeah, why not? Be funny as hell, wouldn't it? We all know football's mashup this year anyway.
Yeah.
So, there's certain things that happen in the Bundesliga. We'll talk about one of the teams in a moment because we want to talk about Freiburg. Freiburg, I don't even know. The thing is, they haven't even got a bad squad. But every time I look at Freiburg, I'm always thinking, what the hell are you doing there? Even when they're in 10th, I'm thinking, what are you doing all the way up there? You ain't even that good. They're a team that just quietly go around, just getting on with stuff. They're like when Stoke went on that mad run of just coming 9th every year, and you don't know, I hate Stoke as well, but they came 9th every season for 4 or 5 seasons on the spin or whatever. And you're thinking, what are you doing all the way up there? But they will predominantly lose against the bigger sides. You every now and then pick up a point here and 3 points there, beat everyone in the bottom 5, bottom 6, and then lose against everyone in and around them. So with that, they just project themselves and sit nicely mid-table. No one's looking at us. We ain't looking at you. Just thanks for coming. I'm just having a coffee. That's what Freiburg are. And so I think with that in mind, that's what Dortmund. Dortmund they've had a horrible season. But to be fair, I do sort of feel sorry for them because they have got a lot of young players, and yes, they've got experienced players, but there's no cohesion between the youth and the experience. So once they marry that, Erhan, do you know what I mean? It's just they don't. Look, I'll get mad busy about badges and things like that as well. And like there's loads of Bundesliga badges that warm me up.
It does look like clip art a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like if you're like, here we go, let's go to a primary school. Can you design a football badge for this team, please? And then like someone's
take a look at Dortmund badge. Take a look at this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Everyone's like,
or Wolfsburg or Bremen. All the badges are horrible.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. But I'll tell you what, Bundesliga might actually be the league with the worst badges in world football. No, not in world.
We'll have to talk about that. We'll have to
that's another show. Yeah, back to Freiburg. But they you know, they've lost 2 games less than Dortmund. You know, but they went on a period where they were drawing a lot of games, and a couple of games where they should have won as well. So I can see Freiburg making a late push, and you know, if
Kroll says Freiburg hiding in plain sight, those dudes are forever mid-table.
Yeah, they are. It's true. No, literally, no one's
playing them because they're quite a small club as well.
You know, when you go into the shop and stuff, you think, I swear I saw my man in the shop yesterday. No. It must be someone who looks like him. And you carry on, and you just see them there all the time, and there they are in your face. Bam, Freiburg.
So, moving on from Freiburg, let's talk about Dortmund, who have been probably the biggest disappointment in the Bundesliga this season. High hopes for them at the beginning of the year. Started off pretty well, and it's just kind of fallen apart. Should they fail to get in the Champions League, at the moment it's looking like they might not even get into Europe full stop. Will they be able to keep hold of, you know, the players that they would like to keep hold of? Because I imagine Sancho was going to go anyway. But there's probably other players that will be looking to leave, i.e. Haaland.
I just love looking at Gav at the moment. So Devo, I just texted you guys the worst badge ever. I can bring it on the show next week. But
What is this?
I'm gonna get it. Right, you carry. You guys speak amongst yourselves. I'm gonna get this on the screen. So you guys speak amongst yourselves.
Oh, okay.
But I tell the story behind it. I heard about my favorite German podcast talking about Bundesliga.
Yeah.
They have one category at the end of it, and this category is called Verfickungsalarm in Germany, what basically means fucked up alarm. I don't know that some team beat the other team with at least 6 goals difference. So they're getting news from all their listeners about results all over the world, and then they got the results from Africa. I don't know if it's Burkina Faso or somewhere in Western Africa. And it was one team was called the Kakamega Homeboys. So not that the name is worth enough. Kaka is the word for shit in German.
Yeah. And
this badge is horrible. It looks like some primary school kid did it with, I don't know, paint or something like this. I'm waiting for the moment.
I'll have it on the screen before the end of the stream. I'll have it on the screen before the end of the stream. 100%. They are currently 11th in the Kenyan Premier League.
Kenya.
Kenya. Wow. Jeez. So Dortmund.
Yeah, coming back to your question, I'm pretty sure Sancho is going to leave, but I can't imagine anyone else who might leave. Maybe Haaland if he has a clause, because if he has a clause, it will be easy money for the bigger clubs. But I can't imagine him to have a clause yet. I would say Dortmund is too clever for it.
Do you think that this poor performance and maybe a poor league finish could, lower the value of some of these players? Do you think that maybe it would be a bad negotiation flaw, I suppose, for Dortmund?
Yes. Well, it lowers the value of the players there, and the players, they got so big wages in Dortmund. They won't change the club because they have this big money. But Dortmund is always attractive, especially for young players. Even if they just play Europa League, you can say, okay, we have this 80,000 people stadium. If COVID is over, it will be an unimaginable experience playing inside the stadium if the fans are pushing you forward. And we're known for giving young players chances. We want to compete with with Champions League and Bayern Munich soon again, and we build on you. So I can't imagine them losing attractiveness in the next upcoming 2 or 3 years, even if they just finish 5th or 6th spot. I mean, Arsenal is also kind of attractive for players. You still are able to get some decent signings in between.
You know, the comparisons between us and Dortmund are quite scary.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but
For Dortmund.
I don't want to talk about Arsenal because, you know, I'm in a happy place until the weekend. Let's move on to our last game of the weekend, and it was Mainz at home to Union Berlin. Union Berlin have been the success story of the season so far, kind of running out of steam at the moment, and Mainz needed these 3 points pretty badly as they find themselves second bottom in the table. But they've now given themselves a little bit of a fighting chance, only 4 points behind Bielefeld and Berlin. But since Bo Svensson's been in there, they've won 2 games. Things seem to be turning around for them a little bit. A goal from Niakate from the penalty spot, and I must say, when I saw they were given a penalty, and I saw that he was taking it, I was like, "What is going on here? What?"
Which would have been madness because that's their 30th straight penalty that they've scored as well. So, like, of all people, stand up for it.
Him, I think. 3 goals in 2 games.
Devo's best mate.
Yeah, he was absolutely horrible a few weeks ago. But fair play to him, he's turned it around and he's been solid, and he helped them to a clean sheet. Nico Schlotterbeck was sent off for 2 yellows, 2 silly yellows as well. Not really, neither of them really his fault, I felt, but I can understand why they were given. The first one I thought was very harsh, but it is what it is. So they end up with 10 men. And Mainz get a massive 3 points. I'll come to you first, Gav. Mainz, can they pull this off?
No. Gladbach and Leverkusen in the next 2 games, then they got mid-table Augsburg.
They beat Leipzig.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they've just beaten Union Berlin.
Yeah.
I just got to say, Union Berlin though have lost their last. Well, they haven't won in their last 4 games. Their previous victory was against. By Leverkusen, of course it was, yes.
Yeah,
and who they got next?
Schalke.
Schalke.
Hey.
Union got Schalke. If they need a game to turn their form around, it is that game. But
you would have thought it could have been this.
Yeah, well, you would have thought. Well, yeah, you'd expect it. You know, we've got Mainz this week and Schalke next week. That's 6 points. Thanks for coming. There's no point even turning up. But that's once again complacency has got in the way, and Mainz didn't pander to it. Mainz just got on with the business in hand and dealt with it. Union Berlin had a couple of opportunities in the game, but you know, it was Mainz just. You know, Mainz, as we only said, well, it was more you, Devo, which we all agreed to. Mainz haven't actually played that badly in the last 5-6 games, and they've been on the harsh end of a few results. So this time, maybe a bit of luck was on their side. So we're like, okay, yeah, we'll take the W here, and hopefully try and get something out in the next few games. But yeah, 4 points between them and 16th place and 15th. But if they could get into the realms of 16th, then they'll have that belief. And that's another team that have got belief. And you can see the camaraderie once again between those guys. A little bit like who did I say earlier on? Them lot. Those lot up the road. They've got that belief that something could happen. Frankfurt, weren't it? Yeah. So if belief will be enough to be the 12th man when there's no fans there, then they could squeeze out.
And Flo, do you think? I mean, basically, if Mainz finished 16th, it would be a miracle. But do you think they can do it? I mean, Bielefeld haven't looked great. Berlin are struggling massively. If Mainz win the next game, and those two don't pick up 3 points, it's on.
That's it. I mean, taking a look at the table and it's only 4 points, and you say, okay, possible at the moment, but I always have in mind that they only had 8 points at halftime of the season. So I can't really imagine one team with only 8 points being able to secure the league. Maybe, yeah, football is everything's possible. Maybe Bielefeld is having a bad form. or going to lose a couple of matches. Suddenly, Mainz are on the relegation, on the playoff spot. And the playoff spot is quite comfortable in Bundesliga because usually the third worst team from Bundesliga is way more better than the third best team from second Bundesliga. So
Yeah,
this would be a huge success for Mainz, especially coming from down, a little upwards. And then if they secure this spot, I would be sure that they're able to manage to win in the playoff game.
and just before we have a look at the table, I just wanted to speak to Flo about something that actually happened inside the Bundesliga with Bochum, and I can't remember who it was I was playing against, but the substitute was sent off and gave away a penalty without even being on the pitch. Did you see it?
I didn't see it, to be honest.
So Vera Ganvula, the striker, Congolese striker for Bochum, had a shot which was going wide, and the substitutes were warming up by the pitch. And before it had gone off, the sub kicked it back into play for the goal kick. So as a rule, as I'm sure you know, as a referee, you're not allowed to enter the field of play without. He was
with
booked.
the referee's crescent. Yeah,
he was booked. Sorry, without permission. So he's entered the field of play before the ball's gone off. He's kicked it back into play. So he's been booked, and the referee's given a penalty because
That's incorrect in law, though. They shouldn't have given a penalty. That should be an indirect free kick from where the offence took place.
yeah. So he's given the penalty.
Because it's an outside, whether it's a substitute, or not. Yeah, whether it's a substitute or not, it's an outside body. Doing that is exactly the same as if the ball hit the referee in the box. So, incorrect in law there.
I saw that and I thought, what a strange thing. And if you'd have seen the look on the face of the substitute, he was baffled. It's like, what? What? I was just trying to give you the ball back. Right, let's move on to the table. Go on.
One word about Bochum. I really hope that they're able to promote the Bundesliga. This, maybe not the team, but the whole club would be a benefit for Bundesliga again, because this is like a typical traditional working class club. They have this stadium, which is a stadium, not an arena. It's been the same 30 years ago. It's in the middle of the city of Bochum, and it would be lovely to see them in the Bundesliga, and away matches in Bochum are great.
Well, they need to get me. They need to get me in as their manager, because I took them to the Bundesliga in one season, and then within 2 seasons, I had them in the Europa League in Football Manager. So maybe have a word with them, tell them to get.
I tell my
They need to be back in the Bundesliga for the sake of Eric Wijnaldum, as far as I'm concerned. American legend. But Hamburg are top of the Bundesliga. Zwei, Bochum are there. Holstein Kiel are there.
Yeah. Who beat Bayern?
Gruta 4 are there. This, I'll tell you what, is actually quite tight, isn't it? The top 4 all separated by 3 points at the moment in Schweiz Bundesliga.
And Hamburg are a massive club. But let's focus on the Bundesliga, and we're going to have a look at the table. The bottom half of the table looks like so. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So here is the league table, and I don't know why I got rid of that, because we know who's bottom is Schalke. No, 5 points.
Troll.
I just want to bring this up as well. General Crawl says every time someone mentions Schalke, it's followed by laughter. There you go. So Schalke are rock bottom. Mainz, with their win, now go only 4 points behind Bielefeld and Hertha Berlin. Obviously, Bielefeld have that game in hand due to the postponement of their game with Werder Bremen. Cologne find themselves in 14th after that win in the Rhine derby, giving a little bit of breathing space between themselves and the teams below them, and also catching up with Augsburg and Hoffenheim and Werder Bremen, who are 13th, 12th and 11th, respectively, all on 22 points. And Stuttgart sit in 10th on 25 points. Seems like they've been on 25 points forever. Moving into the top half of the table, you have Union Berlin, who are down to 9th on 29 points, and Freiburg above them now into 8th on 30 points. Mönchengladbach sit in 7th, Borussia Dortmund 6th, both on 32 points. Bayer Leverkusen haven't moved, even despite their 5-2 win. They now have 35 points. Frankfurt in 4th with 36 points. Wolfsburg stay 3rd in 38 points, and Leipzig 2nd, 41. And obviously Bayern Munich top of the league, 7 points clear, 48 points. So no movement, 7 upwards. Shall we have a look at the fixtures, gentlemen?
Yeah. This is a message from Caleb earlier on today. Is it fair to say that Schalke, since the beginning of 2020, have been the worst Bundesliga team ever? After that solitary win, they went back on their winless run. So back to General's point, that's why we laugh.
But they're not the worst Bundesliga team ever. They're the second worst.
We can't take that away from Tasmania.
No, yeah. The worst Bundesliga team in our... Yeah.
So Friday's evening kickoff is Leipzig at home to Augsburg. Can't see anything but 3 points there for Leipzig, if I'm honest. Let's move on to Saturday afternoon. Dortmund at home to Hoffenheim. 2 teams who are struggling. Someone needs to pick up the 3 points there. It will probably end up a draw. Leverkusen at home to Mainz. Mainz, who looked a decent side under Bo Svensson, but Leverkusen will be buoyed after that 5-2 win at home to Stuttgart.
That's got Bremen written all over it.
Bremen at home to Freiburg. Bremen, who have been decent of late, obviously with the postponement, they might be a little bit rusty. Stuttgart at home to Hertha Berlin. That's a massive game for Hertha Berlin there. On to Saturday evening fixtures. Union Berlin at home to Schalke. Oh dear God.
Oh God.
And
next
Sunday fixtures, we have Frankfurt at home to Cologne, Wolfsburg, Borussia Mönchengladbach. That should be a great game of football Sunday evening. And there's also a Monday night fixture, which is something that the German public don't necessarily like. But I understand it's understandable in this occasion because Bayern would have just been fresh off of winning the World Club Cup in most probability. Bayern Munich at home to Arminia Bielefeld. 3 points there for Bayern. Any games there that stand out for you guys?
Yeah, obviously the Wolfsburg-Gladbach game is Sunday. And I like the way you described very politely how Germans feel about the Monday night game.
Yeah.
We hate it so much. The DFL cancelled it after the season. Luckily.
Yeah, because wasn't there a game? How long has it been introduced? Is it 2 seasons now? 4.
3. So this is the 4th season now.
4th season, yeah. So, and wasn't there a game where just no one went to the game? They literally just the standard. It's like playing the game now in COVID regulations. I think there's a fixture, and the fans just decided not to go.
Yeah, might be, but it's always you have these kind of event guys who go to these matches, and you have the guys from the stands who don't go to these matches.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't boycott it because this pays my bills. Obviously, it would be really hypocritical if I would say I'm not going to the Monday night match because they pay more money for media. Media money is buying my bread, so I obviously watch those matches, but I still don't like them.
Flo's the guy that is leaving the building, doesn't hold the door open for anyone, sees the media people, it's like, oh, come in, after you. Before we go, here's the badge that Flo was talking about. Kakamega Homeboys Football Club. Currently 11th in the Kenyan Premier League, the KPL, doing major bits. They're going to be my second favourite team now because my favourite team from the African continent is Chicken Inn FC from Zimbabwe. Me and Cotton on 2 at top. We absolutely buzz off those. We always keep an eye out for their results, and we're still waiting for our shirts. We're still waiting for him. We've been asking for a shirt for a couple of years now. We're actually getting quite wound up that we're having to wait so long. So a call to the Zimbabwean FA might be happening very soon. But
okay, guys, that's all we've got time for this week. It's been a pleasure as always kicking it with you guys. Make sure you follow us on our socials. You got myself at Devo LDN. You got Mr. Mac at Gav Mack 23, and that's on all socials. And you have Florian at Senior_Laboron on Instagram. You can find us on our channels at TFB Dugout, at 2 at Top Football, and also if you'd like to buy a new machine to shave your balls, Use our code on manscaped.com, TFD discount code. You get 20% off on all your purchases, plus free shipping in the UK. Take care of your balls, because if you don't, who will? There you go. It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for joining us, for all those who are watching. We will see you next week with more Die Bundesliga show. Peace.